Friends, today we celebrate All Souls Day, a day to honor, to celebrate, and to mourn the people in our lives and in this community who have died. As a people of faith and as a people of community, it is right and fitting that we gather on a day like today to remember and to be present with the absence of people whose lives intersected with our own. Rituals of remembrance have been important to peoples and cultures throughout time and around the world. These rituals are an important part of acknowledging who we are, whose we are, and they help us connect with our past and look forward to the future. UUCR's tradition of celebrating All Souls Day, like Unitarian Universalism in general, has its roots in Protestant and Catholic Christianity, even as it has taken on its own symbolism and meaning. In the Christian liturgical calendar, November 1st is All Saints' Day, or All Hallows' Day, making today, October 31st, Hallows' Eve, Halloween. In the Christian tradition, All Saints' Day honors the martyrs and saints of the Church, while All Souls' Day, which is marked on November 2nd, honors everyone who has died. It is no accident, I think, that UUs choose to mark All Souls' Day. But we also know that these holidays did not begin with Christianity. As the Christian church merged with empire and spread across the globe, it encountered local customs and often absorbed, or here's a 25-cent word, syncretized them into their liturgy. There are reasons why Christmas arrives around the solstice and Easter arrives around the equinox. And there are similar reasons why All Saints and All Souls Day occur around the festival of Samhain that marks the midpoint between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. I want to suggest that as Unitarians, and certainly as Universalists, we can find deep meaning in this holiday of All Souls Day, even as we recognize and re-examine some of its historical roots. As Unitarian Universalists, we honor the interconnected web of all existence, a universal community of relationship that exists in and between all things. And we also honor the inherent worth and dignity of each individual. And today, on this holiday, we are invited to recognize our deep connection to that interconnected web through our relationships with the individual people we carry on our hearts this morning. Honoring the dead can mean many things. It can be many things all at the same time. So today can be a day of joy and gratitude for the lives lived by our loved ones, and it can be a day of mourning and grief as we wish they were still here with us as present, embodied people. Honoring our loved ones can mean celebrating them. It can also mean allowing ourselves to mourn, to experience grief, and to really feel their absence. Joy may come in the mourning. The pain of loss may transform into gratitude over time. But more likely than not, the tug of sadness will remain. It is okay. It is even good to grant ourselves the space and the time to feel that loss. Perhaps especially in this time, not just pandemic time, but also this time of late-stage capitalism when we have been encouraged to think of ourselves as isolated individuals, as consumers. We need days like today, when we can gather in community and together allow ourselves to get in touch with the hard feelings that come up when we encounter mortality, our own or our loved ones. This morning, we will get to joy. We will get to celebration, and we will get to hope and recommitment. But first, let us take a moment to feel both the presence and the absence of those who are no longer with us. To honor that presence and that absence, let's bring forward the photographs and names of the beloveds, of our beloveds, and place them on our communal living altar. It was an honor to place the photographs and names that have been shared by our loved ones who are not here with us in person this morning. Thank you for sending those in and participating in our joint communal altar. Dear ones, our loved ones are here with us. They are present, even in their absence. These photos and names include people from our lives who have helped make us who we are as individuals. There are siblings, neighbors, ancestors, friends, partners, pets, and heroes. On our shared living altar, there are also the photos and names of people in and of this community that have been a part of our shared life as a congregation. People who have touched all of our lives and whose connection with this community has forever changed it. So let us now take a few moments to especially lift up the names of the individuals, the beautiful souls in and of this community that have died in the months since Legacy Sunday. Let us make space for each of these people in our hearts. This morning, we remember Pat Wilson. This morning, we remember Benjamin Hill Lamb. This morning, we remember H. David Myers. May we continue to carry these three beloveds in our hearts today and all days. On several occasions now, Reverend Rebecca has introduced the staff to the work of Stephen Garnis Holmes, a United Methodist minister who offers daily devotions under the name Unfolding Light. His work, like this holiday, has roots in Christianity, and like our community of faith, it points to an expansive and boundless love. As we move on from this ritual of remembrance, I would like to share one of his pieces as a moment of shared meditation. he writes, "There is a mourner within you, whose sorrow is greater than sadness at what is no longer in your pocket or in your arms. Tectonic plates of grief moving deep and silent, crying without tears, keening without sounds, weeping for this world and all that is broken. The mourner is accustomed to being silenced, for being feared that her wails, once loose, will run wild. But they don't run. They move along, steady, tireless, yearning. When silenced, her wails become stones of meanness or despair. Hear them knocking against each other in the voices of tyrants and the oppressed alike. Sit with the mourner within you. Do not stifle her. Give her time and some water and an audience. She is your strength and your wisdom. She is your harmony with the song of the earth, which is also a song of great wonder. The song of all living things, breathing, hoping, singing through mouths that are wounds. But first, she must mourn. The full moon is a happy soul, singing a sad song. Only that way is she so lovely. Do not abandon the mourner within you. She carries under her cloak power and hope, deep beauty, and joy most firm. Amen. May it be so, and blessed be.
Friends, I am going to start my reflection with a reading of We Remember Them. For those that are in the sanctuary, if you have a hymnal, you can follow along. But again, because of Zoom, I will be the only reader. And for those of you who are at home, if you happen to have a hymnal, this is reading number 720 in our gray hymnal. And again, I will be the solo reader. We remember them. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. So, beloveds, We've been on a journey for the last 20 months. It has truly been a whirlwind where we were in a place in need of a change, and at the same time, we were complacent and happy with the status quo. And I don't know which was stronger, but we have been in this place of not knowing and moving with spirit. The pandemic has placed us on a journey to reconnect with our loved ones and to reconnect with ourselves. This has been a first for many of us, where we had been advised to become secluded, to stay away from our family and friends because being in the same place was hazardous to our health. We watched and listened diligently to the news, waiting for advice and looking to our leaders for guidance on our next moves. Each week, things changed. Wear a mask. Stay 6 feet away. Don't wear a mask. Get the vaccine. And please believe science. It has felt like we were on a long road trip and somehow we got lost in the woods. We got lost and are getting lost in the forest of social media and social outrage. We were getting lost because we couldn't be face to face, and the only outlets we had were social media or the news. And it's been hard to find the truth or just the facts on either of those platforms. The news has become infotainment where there are some facts, but there's also sensationalism. There's also this drive to be an influencer. We're also getting lost in the social outrage. We are lost because we would rather pull out a camera to record a crime than to be the ones to try and intervene. We are getting lost because we are losing touch with our roots, with our moral North Stars. We are getting lost because we have lost touch with our ancestors. For some of us, we have lost touch with that ancient wisdom that helped us to get this far. And I can't help but think that as we are preparing to return to normalcy or our next normal, that we are being reminded of three things. First, this is our time to level up, to become better, to be better than we were. This is also the time to remove our masks, physical and metaphorical. And last but not least, you can and you deserve to be successful too. And when I say success, I don't mean money, I mean relationships. So this is our time to level up. We have had 20 months where if we were lucky enough, we could sit at home and think about our lives and reassess what's most important. Are we living a life of quality or are we living a life of quantity? I think when we think about the before times, people were caught up in this lifestyle where they were competing with the Joneses. Am I right? Or maybe I should say we were trying to keep up with the Kardashians. We as a society were caught up in wanting more and thriving on more. This eternal quest for the newest best thing was at the forefront of our minds. But when the pandemic came, that all had to be placed on pause. We had to rethink what was most important as we saw the folks that we loved the most begin to get sick, with some recovering and with some transitioning. I don't know if it was fear or maybe a whispering from our ancestors, but some of us began to say no. Some of us began to say no to those things that we realized were not actually adding value to our lives. We started to investigate the jobs that we had and the lifestyles we were living, and we realized that there were more important things for us to focus on. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that no one's family is perfect. But I think that we began to realize that the families we have, whether chosen or by blood, were perfectly imperfect. And it was up to us to cultivate and create what those relationships meant to us. Having this global timeout has also set a fire in the spirits of some people. It made people understand that this might be their moment to rise, that this moment in time may be the moment that they can change it all. And in this moment, those people who chose themselves first, and they went out on a limb and they chose to begin again. They chose to lean in and do something different. They chose this moment to take their work to the next level. But the next level looks different for everyone. The next level could be that they chose to write the book they have always talked about writing. The next level could be that they decided to return to school. The next level could be that they started that garden that they always wanted to start. But regardless of the situation, they did what they really wanted to do. These people who had this inspiration and drive to level up chose themselves first and chose to do something different than what has always been done. And this time hasn't been an easy time, though. We have had to face things about ourselves and had to face generational traumas. And if ready, we've tried to heal them. And I think that we have had to take off our collective masks and reveal who we are at our core. This was a reckoning long time coming, where we had to decide, do we keep these masks on and pretend that the world is fine? Where we pretend that global warming isn't happening and that each year that we live, that our planet is not getting warmer. We had to remove the mask and address those things that seem to haunt us, like implicit bias and systemic racism. We had to take off those masks because even in the midst of a pandemic, we still lost the lives of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. We had to take off the masks that protected us from the reality of the world in which we lived in. And I think that sometimes people believed our former president was the beginning of racism. And in reality, he was a catalyst that showed us the racism and patriarchy that already existed in our systems. We were shown these masks and the masks that hid the bodies of the missing and murdered Indigenous children. And we had to deal with it. We had to rise to the occasion and either address it or do what we always do and remain silent. And I know that it's still a work in progress, and folks are still just learning the stories, but the masks are removed. The masks have been pulled off the systems that are holding us back and holding us under the thumb of oppression. So, what happens now? So, where do we go from here? Where do we go from this place that has held us down for so long? We continue to get free. I'm going to say that again. We continue to get free. We must realize that now that we are leveling up and now that the masks have been taken off, there is nowhere else for us to go but up. We must change our mindsets and realize that we too can be successful. But this time, success isn't about money. Success isn't about things. Success is about relationship. And of course, we want nice things. Of course, we want to be able to survive. But I want us to think beyond what our past thinking was. I want us to remember that we are the future ancestors. And the work we do now will be the trust fund we leave to our descendants. We must see that the work we are doing now in this lifetime is building upon the work of our ancestors. We are taking their work and we are becoming the next generation of map makers, setting courses into the great unknown. And instead of feeling like we are lost in the woods, lost without a course, lost without our roots or our direction, we must know that we are found and we are rooted and connected to each other. So as you go out today, know that we have already leveled up and we are living into our next normal. We have taken off the masks that helped hide the real us from reality. And know that you too can be successful. And success isn't about money, but about relationship. And if no one has told this to you today, I love you. And go out and change this world for the better. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.